Sentai aspect. That's the series that's inspired by Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
This is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or as we were calling it, Indiana Jones and the Geriatrics of Destiny. Because there's a lot of old people in this movie. It's like...
they do something to do people... No. Like, this is like a WWE thing where like they have Hulk Hogan and this is like no replacement, there's John Cena, this is no replacement.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, like, okay, look, I know that might sound a little mean, but like, I mean, the reason why we're saying that is because like, oh, it's been a while since they did an indie movie. Indy 4 came out in 2008. That was 15 years ago.
And he was sort of
he's
not
already
young back then.
He was already getting older. He was like getting up there in age, and now he's like 80 years old. And like they're still vaguely trying to revive the franchise, but like they brought in all these like retro characters, and they're not really reviving the franchise. So I'm like, you know, we were looking at some of this box office stuff.
Like Bob Iger and Phoebe, what's her name, was like, oh, we're gonna make a new franchise out of this. I was like, no, this is not the Force Awakens at all. This is the opposite of the Force Awakens.
Yeah,
like Star Wars trilogy, they killed off the main guy, the old cast at least. You know, think of this. Because, like, otherwise they would have this whole writing issue they would have, like Indiana Jones has now.
Yeah, like,
if you want to continue as a franchise, I mean.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of audience that's under 35 watching this.
When we were in the theater, like, the median age was, like, 70 years old. I was probably the second...
At least in our... At least...
And I was like, yeah.
At least in the row of our audience. And
no, I think that was the whole theater. I think that was the whole theater, man.
I mean, like, let me put it this way.
They probably watched baseball. They probably remember when the Polo Grounds, when the Mets and the Yankees and the Giants all played on the Polo Grounds.
They
probably remember when the moon landed.
I will say, of all the movies that we've watched, this had higher than average.
It had a lot of people in it, but
higher than average older audiences in the theater. Like, even other movies we watched that target all ages, they didn't have this many older people. And this was like July 4th we watched this.
Yeah.
And it's like I think the first weekend that it's out or something. So it's the first holiday it's out after it came out. And yeah, even it's kind of like showing here in this like statistics here. Yeah, like women over 25 showed up at 35%. Men are giving it 74% on a 58% turnout. So yeah, a lot of the people showing up to this are older men apparently. Yeah, it's and they lean into that. They're leaning into it with like Indiana Jones being this father figure to this like goddaughter that he has.
There's not a lot of as Elemental would say, hanky panky in this film.
No, he's not like the gallivanting.
He's not like the James Bond sequel character.
Yeah, and they're also like kind of like not really setting up like people to follow up after him really. Like in Indy 4, they were like, oh, Mutt Williams, but nobody liked that or whatever. The reception was mixed, I would say. But like in this, they don't even set that up as much. And
totally, as much as you don't like that movie, like this movie totally ruins like what could have been with that.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, that's why we're saying all that. But in general, like what is happening in this movie? Let's rewind a little bit.
There you go, yeah.
This movie is about Indiana Jones on his next adventure.
It's not really about Indiana Jones, but it's about Toby Jones' character's family.
Yeah. Yeah. So like his Toby Jones kind of follows the role of like
he's the guy. Yeah.
Like what Sean Connery was doing in Indy 3, where like he's researching this ancient artifact and he's obsessed with it and ignoring his daughter. So it's like a parallel there.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
And then like the daughter rises up as like the next kind of adventurer and wants to recruit Indiana Jones into this.
Well, like the whole film revolves around that, but it doesn't follow either of those characters. It follows Indiana Jones, which totally ruins the film in my opinion.
Yeah. It's kind of... It feels like they're kind of stringing along these sequences along.
And just like 3 producers, and one of them's not like one of the originals, and like they have like 4 writers on this, and
yeah,
they have like the hugest budget for Indiana Jones film.
Yeah,
it's one of the most expensive film ever to make. Not to mention that like technology has caught up so much that like you didn't even need to spend that much on the film.
Yeah, it's like a. You can't really see it here, but so it's got like a $250 to $300 million budget or so, and this is
This is getting out of hand.
this is Disney is involved with this.
Yeah.
Paramount is involved with this. Lucasfilm is involved with this. They got like
So they
a
have
bunch
like
of
3 companies too.
They got a bunch of producers. They got a bunch of writers. They got a bunch of directors.
And like you have a whole bunch of people
Huge
who are,
budget.
yeah, like Spielberg and Mangold are like both working on it.
Yeah, and also something I would say about this, like Mangold has done a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah,
we're
we're
mentioning that.
Yeah, I looked it up. I was like, oh, I didn't like Logan. The Wolverine was alright, but I didn't think it was that great. And then I looked at the rest of the films and I was like, wow, these are amazing films. Like, what happened here?
Like Girl Interrupted, I think you said you liked.
Copland was good.
Copland. Ford versus Ferrari.
Well, he did Walk the Line. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very 2000s film. It stays in the 2000s. It's about like I think it's about like cheerleading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Based on 2 autobiographies by singer-songwriter Johnny Cash.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty big movie, and even then, like I felt like the whole time, like as soon as like I saw like very early scenes, I felt like maybe this is because I was watching so many different like documentaries about Spielberg like right before this on like Max, but formerly known as HBO Max. But like it felt like the least Spielbergian Indiana Jones
Sort of
film.
like the new Star Wars films are like Lucasfilms.
Yeah, but even then, like I
felt like the opening for this felt very Spielbergian, and then after that, like all like it has deepfake and everything.
Yeah, all the deepfake was weird, and like the CGI. But like even the Star Wars sequels still try to have a lot of the same visual language.
Yeah.
As the same Star Wars movies before it, they try to have some visual continuity with like the wipes and like the kinds of shots they had.
Yeah, they had no wipes in this. Yeah.
Yeah, they had just
they had
really
like lens glares from like the flashlights for some odd reason. That didn't help.
Yeah, they had the one circle wipe at the end or whatever.
And it doesn't look like
have it.
It doesn't look like the Doc Hammer or whatever, like or serials from the 20s. It doesn't look anything like that.
Yeah, and like the things that I think of when I think of Spielberg are like, lots of like moving camera shots, lots of Spielberg oneers, lots of like tight editing where you like there's like foreground and background and refocusing, and like changing from like a medium wide to like a wide angle to like a close up, just like jumping back and forth. This movie, it felt like it was just close ups the whole time, and like each face would take up like a third to 2/3 of the screen the whole time. You do know what I mean by that? Like
soap opera filming or something?
Kinda like that, yeah. And the lighting was off. The lighting didn't feel like it had the warm tone of like the color correction didn't feel like an Indiana Jones.
It looked like an ugly sepia tone.
It felt like it was all Indiana Jones. It was all CGI.
Everything was at the sunset.
Everything, yeah. Like everything had this weird hue to it that didn't feel like it was an Indiana Jones.
It was like the smog that we're going through now.
Yeah. Yeah, so Indiana Jones feels like it. I think of the canvas like the Drew Struzan kind of like warm tones and stuff like that.
I feel like,
but yeah,
we watched Asteroid City the same day, and I felt like that was a more specific film than this was.
Yeah, right before this we watched Asteroid City.
Not the cinematography, but like the sets they used and whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's very like tightly like tight cinematography, tight storyboarding,
tight
like,
auteurship. Yeah.
Tight auteur cinematography and filmmaking with Wes Anderson's Asteroid City we saw before this in the same day, July 4th. But yeah, I don't know. Just like the cinematography felt very non-Spielberg. Also, the dialogue felt like kind of off. Like how the story was set up, like the world building.
Sometimes they had the same bad jokes that we would laugh at, but we weren't supposed to. That like Legend of whatever Crystal Skull had before. That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and like
Wait, we didn't watch the trailer yet.
Yeah.
Now?
Is there anything else we should mention before we we jump into the trailer? I feel like it's about time to jump into it soon.
Yeah, sure, why not? I sort of got at this point. Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into the trailer.
Yeah.
Because maybe you'll kind of see what we mean by the visuals here. So let's take a look at it.
I sort of feel this is why I didn't want to watch the movie because it looked terrible.
Yeah, I was like
in the trailer I knew it, and then like when I actually watched it, it's like, okay, the opening scene's alright, but like later on it just looks like a CGI fest or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta be. Yeah, I
want to watch Indiana Jones for like the stunts, and like it seemed like a bunch of like it sort of reminds me of, like the Crystal Skull, or like not the monkey part, but like when they're like sword fighting on top of the jeeps.
Yeah, that kind of CGI and stunts and acting. Like it's all like. You don't even know where the camera is or whatever. Yeah. They don't even know which camera to face or whatever. Yeah, it felt like... Yeah, I also came into this movie feeling lukewarm, but like was still curious to see it, because it's a big franchise, like how they're going to handle Indiana Jones. And like they might revive the franchise. But I heard like I came into this lukewarm, just watching the trailers and stuff. But yeah, then when I watched it,